Preparing to go live. Perfect. All right, I guess we are live. A very good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, welcome to this third episode. And after very long to this episode of Fireblaze Fireside Chat at Fireblaze. And today we have a very wonderful guest with us. He's a very good friend of mine, Gururajan, Govindan. Thank you so much for tuning in today, Guru.
Thank you, Anu. The pleasure is mine.
Perfect. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a quick recap a quick intro about what we're going to do today. So we'll keep it very focused to the topic of today, that is data engineering, careers and skills, right? So let me give a quick introduction about today's guest. So Guru is born and brought up in Chennai. And again, luckily, I was fortunate enough to travel to Chennai, so I met him over there itself. He has an experience of multiple domains such as automobile, insurance, and finance. Companies he has worked with is a wide number of companies he has exposure to. He has worked for IBM for a couple of years, iNautics. He had his own startup as well, which he co-founded, which was into the finance domain, right? Ferra Capital, and then currently he's working as a data scientist in One Magnify. He has immense amount of knowledge in the domain, data-related domains, right? And to share his knowledge, what he has also authored or written few books with Packet Publication. And according to my knowledge, you have written 2 books until now, right? One is Data Analytics Workshop, which is basically for all the data analyst enthusiasts. And the second one was the Data Science for Marketing Analytics, and which was into the marketing analytics domain, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So on top of this, I mean, the cherry to your introduction would be that he's a well-known personality in this domain. He also has more than 20K plus followers on LinkedIn. And I personally have seen him or witnessed him helping out all the companies and enthusiasts in the data-driven domain. Okay, so following you and keeping a watch on you or tracking your journey into the domain, right? It has been phenomenal. You are doing a very noble or a wonderful job in this. So that's in depth or in short about you. I hope that whatever I said is very less for what you have done, right? So over to you, Guru.
Hey, thanks a lot for the warm welcome. I mean, you have over marketed myself, okay? So I don't have much to talk now. Okay, you left very little to talk about me. So I'll just give a very quick intro. So my name is Gururajan Govindan. As Anita said, have close to 8 years of experience in the IT industry. And I had my own startup, and that was for 2.5 years, where we were trying to build a fintech product. So currently a data scientist with One Magnify. And as Anita said, I have written 2 books and I have it in my hand. So the first book on data analytics with Python, maybe, yeah. And this is the second book which I recently worked on. This is the marketing analytics one, which I wrote, I think 4 months back. So this is in brief about me. Yep.
Perfect. So let's begin this chat right into the core topic. What I want to talk with you for this evening. Now there has been a buzz of data science, right? You have been working in it. I have been working in it for a couple of years. We are seeing a phenomenal outburst in the domain, I call it, right? startup ecosystem is moving at a different level in India right now. And within that, the tech is as well, like it's the best time to be in this domain, right? Now, the general notion about what I understand or I have been working in the data science or the data driven domain, I'll say, as a whole, there are multiple different aspects around it, right?
True. True.
So, as a layman, when I would hear data analysis or data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, or data engineering right now, which is in boom, right? All are for me same if I'm a layman, right? Now, most of the people what I see or what I go through over LinkedIn as well are picking up these skill sets, right? And I see a very good what we can say knowledge or awareness about the data science vertical. Like you need to know Python, you need to know SQL, then there within Python there is NumPy, Pandas, exploratory data analysis, machine learning. You'll be able to descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, right? All of it. Again, if you want to go into analysis part, moreover, it's all about Tableau, Power BI, visualizations, all of it.
Yeah.
But now, when you join the word engineering to it, right? Then it comes into the core technical aspect of it, right?
True.
Data science is an interdisciplinary domain, but data engineering is more hardcore. It sounds like tech, right? And that's your forte. So I would like to understand that, or I would like to frame my first question for you that what is data engineering and how is it different from data science?
Okay. Okay. So I'll talk a bit about data science.
Hmm?
So as you are saying, data science, we as a data scientist, people generally build models. Maybe they do some kind of statistical analysis. Okay. For example, if I'm a data analyst, I might end up building some dashboards for my business. I'll be doing a lot of ED, exploratory data analytics.
Correct.
So I'll work closely with the business. But one point, what everyone forgot, who is going to bring the data? So that's where your data engineer is going to come into play. Okay. Because as such, in the industry right now, the data is there, but the data is not in one single place. So it is spread across. Okay. Maybe it can be a flat file. No, it can be a sensor data. It can be your CRM system. It can be your clickstream data. It can be the data that you're capturing inside your app. So it can be multiple data, but they are not present in one place and it is not consumable. It's in a strong form. It's not clean. So a data engineer is someone who's going to use a skill to make it more accessible to people so that a data scientist and a data analyst can work on it to create some value. So I would say this is a general description of what data engineer is.
All right, perfect. So he's the engineer guy who basically is streamlining the processes before actually working on the data, right?
True.
Works. Perfect. So yeah, and this also makes me wonder that is data mining a part of it, or is it again something very different from that?
So data mining, I would say, would be the third layer. Okay. So the data engineer usually don't mine the data, but right now things are becoming blurry. Okay. There's a lot of cross-skilling happening too. Correct. Data mining as such is not a work of a data engineer, but in some cases, if you are working in an organization which is startup, okay, so you are expected to know a lot of things. You cannot say that I am just a data engineer. No, you can't. So over there, you might have to wear a different hat as such.
All right, perfect. So it's slightly different, and it's true that the domain is completely interdisciplinary, right? Yes. You can't just stick to one skill or acquire just one skill and say that okay, now I know pretty much. I can like have my entire career into it, or have my entire life working around the same role, having upskilled, right? It's not like that. If you are coming into it, then you should have a mindset that you will have to do reskilling again and trying to have master around many multiple skill sets, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
I would use the word, data science professional.
Okay.
You cannot say as a data scientist, data analyst, or data engineer. I would like the term data science professional because that's more broad. Because
Yeah.
you're expected to do everything.
Correct. 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 Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, what is it exactly does a data engineer do? I mean, what would be a day in the life of a data engineer look like, or what skill sets or what tools and technology would he really be working under the same?
Okay. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Say, for
Mhm.
example, you work in a company. So you work in an MNC, okay, and they have several branches and several businesses across the globe. Okay, each country has its own data policy. Okay, so as a data engineer, your work would be to bring those data and centralize it. Okay, there'll be situations where you might not be able to export the data outside the country or outside the zone, the designated zone.
Correct, correct, correct.
So a data engineer is someone who is going to catalog this data,
Mhm.
make sure that metadata is accessible to the people for whom it is required, and he is going to unify all the data sources. Okay, so there might be different data sources. Okay, for example, in an automobile industry, we talk about repair orders. So repair
Mhm.
order is something a dealer is going to generate. Okay, we might have data like such as connected vehicle data. Your modem will be sending data, your sensor data. So those will be present in a different system. Okay, you might have your CRM data that your
Correct.
marketing team might use. Okay, so you as a data engineer is going to collate all this data, make it into one unified platform. Okay, so that either your advanced analytics team can use the data, or your machine learning team can use the data, or your BI application. So when I say BI application, it can be Tableau or Power BI or ClickView. They can consume the data. So as a data engineer, your work is going to be, unify all the data, make it more accessible. In a nutshell. So
Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. You were
I mean,
at.
yeah, maybe I. So in terms of tools, right? It is
Yeah.
going to vary. Okay, each company might have a set of tools, but in general, right now, the thing that is more popular right now is, I would say, Spark, because as a processing engine, unified Spark processing engine, Spark is gaining a lot of popularity. And then, of course, you have your on-premise system and your cloud. Okay. So if you go to on-premise, we talk about the Hadoop ecosystem. When you go to cloud, you have AWS, GCP, Azure. Okay. So the tools are going to be different, but the work is almost the same. So you should not don't get scared by the terms. So they do the same work, but each cloud provider is going to have a different name.
Okay. Perfect. Now, uh, is it like, see, what I understand is a baseline is it's set for me that this is the first guy to approach whenever a problem is to be solved, right? Whenever a data driven problem is to be solved, data engineer is the first one will be helping me out to solve any kind of problem related to the data. Now, if say I am a aspirant, right? I love crunching data. The data driven technologies fascinate me, right? So when someone comes to me and says that, hey, I am working into IT or I'm a fresher, I want to start my career into data driven domain, right? And I generally suggest them to at least have a basic or a good knowledge around Python,
Mm,
have some data
mm,
crunching
mm,
libraries around it, go to SQL,
mm.
have a knowledge about Tableau, then have at least good to go knowledge around machine learning. I don't expect them to be at a fresher level to be very expert in the ML part, but yeah, whatever things are there, how they work around it, it's pretty much same. Learning things, you can move forward. But these four are the core skill sets which I'll be saying for a guy to start working into the industry would be like a benchmark, right?
Oh,
Python,
yeah,
SQL,
yeah.
Tableau, and basics of ML. If he has some projects into his resume around the same, he'll be the guy who any company would look up for, and then they might train him into some more
Yes.
processes for the role which he has applied or whatever is the opening around it. Like if it is a BI, they'll focus more on Tableau, Power BI, and MicroStrategy and other tools. But say, who would be the one, or for whom is it easier to dive into the roles such as data engineer? Like, is it the freshers they can dive in easily, or is it the working professionals working under tech can dive in into this easily? And then once they think of diving into it, right? I mean, you can bifurcate this into two questions. How or what all are the benchmarks, right? What should be the entry ticket which they should have in their resume, or the keywords which they should have in the resume, as well as they should know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Would be that.
Okay. So who is who can be a data engineer? Okay. Someone who likes to code. Okay. He should be from a coding background. Okay. He does not have to be an expert. Okay. You don't
Okay.
need to be an expert, but someone who has an interest towards coding and someone who is ready to learn new technologies, because as such data engineering is moving at a very fast rate.
Yeah, correct.
You might have to keep on acquiring something.
Yes.
The one thing that is very common between data science and data engineering is that you need to have a good understanding of Python. You need to be really good at SQL. You don't have to worry about stats, because as a data engineer, the particular person does not need to know stats, but he has to be good with his Python and SQL. So these are going to be a foundation. Okay. So over which he can learn any of the technologies. Maybe if he's going to, I would say the ideal place for someone to start is Hadoop. So people say Hadoop is dead, but no. So the reason I say start with Hadoop is that then you will be able to understand the framework and you will know the nuances. Because once you go to the cloud, it is going to be a black box.
Correct. Correct.
So directly jumping into cloud is like directly using an automation. So it's not going to solve the purpose. Okay. So I would say start with Hadoop. Maybe start with what is Hive. Maybe start with maybe something like an Apache Airflow for scheduling jobs. Maybe start with Spark, because Spark is something that is of a lot of importance. So if you say you're good with Hive and you're good with Spark, 60% of your work is done. The
Okay.
rest 40% is different components.
Okay.
That's a good place to start.
Perfect. So, correct. I mean, whatever were the skill sets which were required for someone to get into the data, that Python, SQL, they are pretty much important, because that's where data is. From there only you'll have to fetch and apply all the standard processes of merging, and he should be king at those topics, I guess,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, Spark and Hadoop, you mentioned these two new keywords to me. Like, I would like you to share some more about Spark and Hadoop. Like, what are the things that could be done with these two technologies?
Yeah. So Hadoop, as I said, right, it is a framework. Okay. So it is a framework for distributed computing. So as such, when we talk about big data, because right now the data that we are handling is huge. So a single system cannot handle it. Okay. So you need to have multiple systems, a cluster which is going to handle this data. So Hadoop is nothing but a framework through which you're going to run your distributed computing. Okay. And Hadoop is going to have different components. Say, for example, the storage is taken care by a component called as HDFS. If you need a data warehouse for analytical solutions, there is something called as Hive.
Correct.
To schedule your job, you have something called as an Airflow or Oozie. Oozie is not being used anymore. So if you want to move your data, for example, you have a transaction system at your office. You need to move your data from your transaction systems to analytical system. You have something called a Scoop. So this is a framework. So Hadoop as such is a framework. Okay. So where is Spark? So Spark is nothing but your unified computing engine. Okay. Previously, we used to talk about MapReduce. So MapReduce is not user friendly. To do a very small task, you need to type in maybe like hundreds of lines. Okay. Gone are those days. So with Spark, it is very similar to that of your data frame in your pandas. Okay. So manipulating things with Spark is a lot more easier, and it works in a cluster. Okay. So you can handle huge volumes of data, GBs and TBs. Okay. It can be handled with Spark. So yeah, and what? One good news. Okay. So the current version of Spark is 3.2. Okay. but the industry is now using 2.4. With 3.2, right? Pandas is now supported. So you just have, yeah. So if you know Pandas, you are good to go with Spark. So you have to import PySpark.pandas as PD. That's it. So our life is going to be a lot more easier, but this might take some time for the industry to, pick
adapt the changes. Yeah.
Adapt the changes. Maybe like I see maybe 3 years, around 3 years.
Correct. 3 years is a good time.
Yeah.
Perfect. So PySpark, again, the name itself has Py. So the prerequisite to get into Spark is Python, right?
Yes. True.
What would be the prerequisite, or is there any prerequisite for Hadoop?
For Hadoop, we need to understand MapReduce. So even though we don't code MapReduce, at the back end, right? Say even Scoop or Hive, it is all MapReduce. So understanding MapReduce is something that is required.
All right.
So you can appreciate the system much better. You know why it is slow. You know why it went wrong.
Perfect. So MapReduce is like the core concept which you should master before getting into Hadoop, right?
A basic knowledge should be.
Perfect. So I'll consider it like if you want to jump into AI, it could be computer vision or natural language processing. You need to know neural network.
Yeah, something on that line. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Now, so these two are the new components which we have now. How much time would it take for someone to learn or acquire these skill sets for a good to go knowledge or handling something? I'm not saying it should be at an advanced level, but yeah.
I would suggest 6 months. So the reason I say 6 months, right? You have a lot of components, and by the time you finish, right, it will be like 4 to 5 months. But at the 6th month, you will feel that you have forgotten everything. So you need at least a month for you to brush up those things. So 6 months should be an ideal time for anyone to pick up this skill.
All right, perfect. Considering he knows Python or considering after he knows Python, or the standard stack of data science.
If he even knows Python and SQL, it needs at least 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
At least, yeah.
All right, correct. So, I mean, a lot of people can start hunting or start acquiring the skill sets. Meanwhile, they can look up for opportunities, and if the domain interests them, they are good to go to dive into a specific niche of applications using data engineering, right? Perfect.
Maybe when they are in their 4th month or 5th month, right? That should be the perfect time for them to start applying for the companies. So Pareto principle, you apply for 10, you will get 2. So
that's for sure. I mean, you still have told a good number. I say you apply for 10, you get 1 reply, and then out of that you apply for 100, you get 10 replies, and there is a chance that you might crack it, right? 1% rule goes over there. Yeah, that's for sure. Correct. Now, one small thing which I would also love to understand that what could be the applications? Like, can you tell some kind of real life application which is being used right now in the data engineering domain?
So I'll talk about 4 or 5. Okay.
First,
okay. So last year, so I have a credit card. So I went to a shop. Out of the blue, we bought something big. Okay. I purchased it for a bigger amount, a bigger ticket size.
Okay.
So the next few minutes, I got a call. So the bank people called me and said, "Hey, hi, am I speaking to Guru?" I said, "Yes." So did you make this transaction? I said, "Yes, I made this transaction." And then they said, "Okay, it's absolutely fine." Okay. Because this is nothing but your fraud detection. Because if you're gonna do a transaction which is above the amount, right? So this happens with the help of your big data, your Kafka and other things. Okay. So the credit card fraud detection is one such very big use that you have. Your IoT analytics. Say for example, you are with GE. So your plans are going to generate GBs and TBs of data. So if you want to do your preventive or predictive maintenance, you need to use big data. So they are like, for example, say I work in automobile. So I have connected vehicles. So the vehicle is going to have a modem and it's going to send data on how is the fuel, what is the speed and other things. Okay. Think if like, millions of vehicles are going to send. So that is big data. So you name the industry, you will definitely have a use case. So it's like that now. uh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, there's no domain as such until now, which is away from data or which is not collecting data
Yes.
right now. Right from farming, right
Yeah.
from farming to aerospace engineering, data is there, right? And how you handle it, how you store it, how you process it, what things you can get out of it. It's all we need a lot of people in that, right?
Yes.
Perfect. How do you think is the job market around the same? I mean, analytics, a lot of people are working. I mean, every company needs an analytics guy, right? To make sense once the data is there. But and that guy could be with respect to a domain knowledge. Like if it's into finance, he should have a background into finance, and then maybe if he knows the skill sets, he can pick it up and go really well. And but yeah, again, around the same data engineering technique, does the guy also need to have the domain knowledge, or it's like he is the king of the data and handling a lot of part of it, and then according to which project or which whatever is the requirement, he will be able to streamline the data according to that, or domain
Okay.
knowledge is a key over there.
Domain knowledge might not be the key in the beginning. Okay. But
Mhm.
as you climb the ladder, right, a
Mhm.
guy who is good at tech and who's able to understand the business, right, now
Mhm.
he will be the one who will be sought after.
All right. So domain knowledge
It's a key too. In the
is a
beginning,
key.
it might not, but down the line.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, because other than that, I don't think that he would be able to pick that up, right? I mean, he should understand at a beginner level as he goes. He'll understand the domain and then pick it up. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Correct. Now, how do you think is the market, Indian market, ready for this? I mean, are there more opportunities in the Western region, or the Indian market is as well quite mature around the same domain? What do you say?
So this is going to be a broad topic. Okay. So
Yeah.
from what I saw, some 2 3 years back, right?
Mhm.
So what companies thought? See, if you are able to hire few data scientists and maybe some data analysts, right? We
Mhm.
can make sense of our data and we can start making some kind of money. Okay.
Mhm.
That was the thought process of most of the companies. Okay.
Correct.
I'm not blaming them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, once they were traveling on that path, maybe
Mhm.
1 year, 2 year down the line, they were not able to reap any benefit.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's when they realized that you need to have a data engineer. Okay.
Okay.
Without a data engineer, your team is not going to grow. And that's why you see a lot of openings right now. Because companies know that there is a skill gap. You cannot expect a data scientist to do everything because he has his own limitations, right? Asset is a very broad field. And that's where the role of a big data engineer or data engineer comes into play. So regarding the job opportunities, if you look at the West right now, it has a very high attrition rate. Okay. If I'm not wrong, the attrition is close to 50% in some of the sectors. Okay.
Okay.
So 2 out of 4 people are changing their jobs. So that is good for India because some of these jobs can be outsourced. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
And currently, I have never seen a crazier market like this ever. Okay, in the last 10 years. The last 10 years, I've never seen a market this crazy. Okay. You pick up a call and people are ready to give you 100% hike, even without negotiation, because there is a skill gap and they are unable to fill the positions. And this is there across. Okay. So if someone wants to change their job, the next 6 months to next 1 year, that is the perfect time. Okay. I mean, you try to, hit maybe throw a stone in the tree, you will definitely get at least one fruit. Okay, it's like that now. Because market is too hot and there are a lot of opportunities. So people should not be worried about getting a job as long as they are able to brush up their skills and make it more presentable. This is the best market. Okay, it was not like this last year. It's not like this last year. So even I currently have 10 positions. Okay, close to 10, which I cannot fill. I know I never fill this. It might take me 6 months.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's that bad. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, how I see this, it's like the the market has been evolving since 3-4 years in this data, and pandemic obviously gave it a boost or enhanced the process of data generation, and whatever we were thinking to achieve our goals of data collection by 2025 2030, probably we have already overcome and surpassed that by a margin right now. And the challenges which we would have faced after 2025 or 2030 by having that data, we are facing it right now.
Yes,
So
true.
companies right now are not able to figure out that how to streamline the data, because there are multiple sources and all the sources are having hefty amount of data, right? So they need this guy who sits at the edge of the data collection and streamlining it, right? Because a lot of people are knowing how to analyze the data once they have it, but they are not able to figure out how to streamline it, right?
They are not ready to do a dirty job.
Okay, and that's what money is for, right? The dirty job pays a good amount. Perfect. Maybe sooner or later, when the demand surpasses, everyone would. And
Takes
this
a bit
might
risk.
become what we can say, a necessary skill set like Python and others to get into the industry. That's what I feel, right?
Yeah, maybe 2 years. 2 years.
Perfect. So the ones who come in now would be at a very good
Very
position.
good advantage. Yeah,
Will
very good
come in.
advantage. Yeah.
Makes sense. And like the same application, I mean, I would like to add, we just had an IPO of Paytm, right? So it is a very phenomenal product what India has come up with, right?
Yes, true.
Now the bandwidth at which the transactions are being handled over there, I just read, if I'm not wrong, it was 5 lakh crores of amount was transacted through Paytm, and to handle that much amount of data, they have done it phenomenally very well when they are having good competitors on a global level, such as when Google Pay came into picture, Facebook with WhatsApp Pay came into picture, and other companies local, as Walmart as well, right? They acquired Phone Pay and all. So if we don't even look at the competitors, the amount of data which Paytm is handling, right? The number of tickets booked, the number of money sent here and there, right?
It's phenomenal.
Everything.
Yeah.
And this increases the scope of frauds as well, like you said, right? So every single part or niche within the transaction domain itself is huge, because the number is huge.
Yeah. UPI. The
Correct.
play UPI. It's huge. I think it's UPI is a government entity, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, correct. They have recently tied up with Singapore government as well, and now we can have to and fro money transaction without PayPal, without a third party integrator between two countries.
That's a huge thing. That's a very huge thing. I will tell you even one more example. Hotstar. So we had 1 crore, or I think 1 crore concurrent viewers for the match.
Yes.
I don't watch cricket, so I just heard about it. Okay, but that's an amazing feat, right?
To handle, right? I was just gonna come up with this Hotstar example only. I had I met one person. He was VP at engineering team at Hotstar.
Okay.
He was the guy behind the architecture which they created for streamlining the data using big data concept, based in Mumbai. Right now, he's also in Bangalore. So the job what they have done, it's phenomenal, right? It's good that you've come up with it, and we handling that amount of data, which we won't even think of to do 5 years before, right? Is it's phenomenal. So there are this gives a clear picture to forecast as a layman that it's a golden domain right now, right? Perfect, completely makes sense, right? Perfect. So I guess I have all my answers to all the doubts which I was having around data engineering and career and skill sets, right? Now I would like to talk upon or as you agreed to have some giveaways, right?
Yeah,
So I want you to tell more about the books which you have written, and then also tell us about the giveaway what you have.
sure. So the first book which I wrote, okay, is my data analysis workshop. So this book is not a part of my giveaway right now.
Okay.
So this book was launched, I think, in 2020. So which talks about Python for data analysis. So where we take 10 different use cases and we talk about each use case in depth. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is, if I'm not wrong, it's close to 600 pages book.
Uh-huh.
And, so we were three authors who did this book. Yeah, and that's about my first book. And if I'm not wrong, it has sold close to maybe close to 10,000 right now, both in its
Phenomenal.
ebook and
Phenomenal.
printed format. Yeah. And the second book, which we launched this year, is my so data science for marketing analytics.
Amazing.
So over here, we have 9 chapters. We take a few use cases on marketing domain. Say for example, what is customer churn? What is likelihood to buy, cross selling, upselling. So we took each of these concepts and we took a data set and we showed them how to do it. Yeah. So each chapter is is separate. There's no connection between the chapters. So it can be taken. You can just go to the fourth chapter and read it. It's absolutely fine. There's no connection between the chapters. So this book is a part of my giveaways. So we will be having 10 books that will be sent in an ebook format. Uh, I think the Google form is available.
Perfect. We have just shared it as you
Yeah,
were speaking.
yes,
Form is live and pinned in the chat. If you can see everyone, please
great,
go
great.
over there. The first 10 visitors who fill up the form, right, and register with packet will get 10. Will get ebook each. The first 10.
Yeah,
Perfect. Sounds good. So as far as I remember, right, it's been long that we have met. So
yeah.
last you were telling me that you have started writing. So was that the first book when you were doing that?
Uh, I think so. It was the first book.
Yeah, it was the first book, right? You were at
Yeah,
the later phase of just completing it. I
yes.
remember you telling me about
And
it.
we also met in Gurgaon once, if I'm not wrong. Or Gurgaon or was it Bangalore?
It was in Bangalore, I
It
guess.
was
Once
in
in
Bangalore.
Chennai
It was
and
in
then in Bangalore. Perfect.
Bangalore. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, to hear that you have already sold 10,000 copies of it, it makes me feel so happy. And one more thing that, I mean, I am so excited to have the book for myself as well. I'll be just going over there and having it so that I can tell you the review. Because what you have done is you have added a step-by-step guide over there, right, to solve a single problem with the data set, which makes it unique, right? Because if you just want to understand the domain, if you just want to understand the concept, it's not enough. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
I feel that you should walk me through it, right? Then only then I'll understand that how it was actually done. So it's really phenomenal thing, and I'm really excited to
Thank you.
have
Thank
my
you.
hands on over that book. And I would recommend, I already know you, so I would recommend everyone who is watching this to have their own copy. And there's a scope for having a free ones, right? So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and fill up that form. Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, this sums it up, right? I guess we had a wonderful 40 minutes conversation around the domain. I was able to learn more on data engineering, how Spark and Hadoop is being leveraged on top of the existing technologies. about Python, ML, and how we could explore the domain as a niche, right? As a specialized skill sets in the data-driven world, right? And yeah, it was wonderful talking to you about your books as well.
Same here, same here.
And
That
thank
was
you
all
so
fine.
much for taking out time. And I hope that you are staying safe and your family is doing great. And have
Yeah,
a good time. Thank you so much.
great, great. Do we have any Q&As in the chat?
Oh, yes, perfect. So it brings us to the Q&A part. So let me just check it out once. Oh, yes. Oh, we have a lot of Q&As.
Okay, maybe we can pick few, and I will try to do justice to some. Yeah.
Perfect. So Ojas Srivastava is asking, is business intelligence and data engineering closely related?
They are very closely related. Okay. Without data engineering, your BA cannot work.
Okay.
And without BA, there's no point of data engineering.
Without?
Without BI, there's no point of data engineering. Why should we?
Okay.
They
Yeah.
are related. Yeah.
Perfect. So just adding it to, I mean, just simplifying or just giving my opinion to that is BI is making sense out of it, the data. And to make sense out of data, you will have to collect data from multiple data points. So you'll have to like aggregate it up, right? And then start working on it. So it's all about BI, and then BI is leveraging this process, I believe, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It's like an egg and chicken problem. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. They go hand in hand, Ojas. Then Abhinav is saying Spark with its in memory processing. Perfect. So, and we also have Mr. Guru Prasad saying that thank God that you have mentioned that stats is not required for the data engineering part. So, would you like to add something to it? How stats and this is like really
Okay.
different?
Let me be very frank. Okay? I'm not a big fan of stats. But what happened like some 2-3 weeks back? So I thought, no, why not give it a try? So I called a friend of mine. She was explaining few concepts. Then it started striking me. No, I fell in love with stats. I won't say that I'm an expert, but once you see stats from an application point of view, you will love it. But for data engineering, you don't need it. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Perfect. So when you want to make sense out of data, you need to take help of stats. When you want to collect data for any kind of business problem, you don't need to be king at stats.
Yes, don't worry about it. Yeah.
So those who fear from stats, you know where to head after coming into the data domain, right? I guess this was the most interesting question by Mr. Guru Prasad. I hope that you are happy about the answer, right? Perfect, perfect. So we were having these few questions. Thank you so much for taking it up. If anyone is having any other question, you can still ask. Oh yeah, there we have one more question. We can take one more. Guru. Does one have to be master of data structures and algorithms for a DE role?
So this is a really good question, okay.
Yeah.
In terms of an interview point of view, okay, I'm talking about that. Some of the product companies, they talk about the basic data structures and algos. But most of these services companies, they don't talk about DS and algo. But DS and algo becomes very important when you start working. When you start working.
Okay, all right. But as an entry level person, is it like mandatory one or good to have one?
I would say good to have. So
Good to
if
have
you
one, right?
want to try product companies, you need to have.
Yeah, product companies will need you need to be master in everything if you are going for a product company, right? Yeah.
You will be 22-year-old, but you'll have 30 years of experience.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Perfect. Yeah, so there were these many questions. Do we have a bandwidth to take one more? Can I take one more, Guru?
We can, yeah.
All right, perfect. So one last question is that, can you elaborate in brief how's cloud contributing in data science? Right from the data lake, warehousing services, etc. Can you tell what's VMware company about? Okay, so he's asking about VMware, so we'll cross that up. But yeah, can you tell in short that how cloud is contributing to data science or data warehousing or data engineering? Yeah.
So for example, so you are a startup and you are, see, that's two cases, okay? You are a startup and you are a high growth company, okay? So you have tremendous amount of data in one case. In one case, you don't have a lot of budget. So the best place for someone to go is going to be cloud. Okay. So cloud is where the startups go, and cloud is where the fast growing companies go. Okay. For example, Netflix. It has huge amount of data. So it needs some kind of cloud solution. So they use AWS. So if you're a startup, you don't want to spend too much money on infrastructure. You don't want to have the headache of maintenance. You go to cloud. Okay. So on a long run, even though cloud is expensive, on a long run, for the shorter run, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, perfect. And as a fresher, I mean, it comes to my mind that are there any kind of projects, good ones, which we could do for just to have a flavor of about only the data engineering part specifically as a Kickstarter?
So you can, say you have two options. You can download a Cloudera VM. So Cloudera VM is going to have all the components installed. So maybe you can just get your hands dirty. So you will have all the components inside that can get your hands dirty. Or what you can do, I would suggest a second. Okay, maybe go to AWS, create an account, start exploring things on data engineering. Maybe look at what RDS does. Look at what EMR is doing. Look at what is glue or what is Ethana, S3 buckets. Few of the concepts. Okay, try to learn about it. Get your hand dirty. You can use the free tier version, so it's not going to cost you much too. Even if it is going to cost you, it will cost maybe like $10, not more than that. So that will also be the best way. But having a structured course, right, is, I would say, that is the best way forward, because all these components, if you're going to study it separately, right, it's going to be very difficult for you. But if you're going through a structured content, you're going to save a lot of time. So the time can be spent on something more productive.
Okay, makes sense. It really makes sense. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So we had all the questions covered up. I guess there are no further questions, and a lot of them have already grabbed. I guess had filled up the forms for the ebooks as well. Let's see who have won. So you'll get the notification shortly, everyone. And perfect. So again, a very big thank you so much to you for taking this time out, right? It was really wonderful to have a fireside chat with you after a very long.
Yeah, it's my pleasure talking here. I hope that I was able to add some value to the viewers.
Absolutely.
So thanks a lot, and happy weekend.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.